Yargle and Multani is one of the most ridiculous Voltron-style commanders I have seen. And if you're unfamiliar with the term Voltron when talking about commander, it's a reference to the old 80s cartoon where a bunch of mechs come together to create a big super mech. However, in Yargle and Multani's case, Voltron's pretty much already assembled, except he's missing like a toe, because you really don't need to do much in order to make Yargle and Multani super threatening to our opponents. For instance, if you cast any pump effect that gives Yargle and Multani +3 power or more, we now swing lethal at our opponents, which is just insane. So let's go over some really good pump effects for Yargle and Multani. First up, we got Invigorate. This is pretty much a free pump effect that gives target creature 4+4, and it's free as long as we control a forest and give an opponent 3 health. Seeing how we're in 2 colors, it's not going to be that hard to get a forest out, and nobody cares if we give an opponent 3 health because we're going to be killing them via commander damage. Up next, we got Berserk. This pretty much gives target creature double power and trample until end of turn. So in Yargle and Multani's case, that's 36 trampling points of commander damage. Yeah, good luck blocking that one. Though it does destroy the creature if it attacked this turn. However, I believe that's worth it because more than likely we're going to be able to take out one of our opponents with Berserk, meaning there's less competition out there. Tainted Strike gives target creature 1+0 and infect until end of turn. Putting this on Yargle and Multani is 19 points of poison damage. That's almost double what we need to kill off one of our opponents. Vines of Vastwood not only protects Yargle and Multani, but if we kick it, our guy gets 4+4 until end of turn, so once again we can make another one of our opponents dead. For Isis, dead. Gaia's Embrace, dead. Even casting something as simple as a giant growth will make Yargle and Multani swing lethal. And that to me speaks volumes. Because at any point if our opponents choose not to block, or they can't block, they now run the risk of getting one-shotted. Talk about stressing the hell out of our opponents. With that being said, it makes a lot of the other Voltron-style commanders seem a lot less appealing because of how much effort you have to put in to make their damage output rival that of Yargle's starting power. Now, Yargle and Multani are a 6-drop, and that's a pretty good chunk of mana, so we're definitely gonna have to run some ramp. Some fast mana producers are Ancient Tomb, Mana Crypt, Soul Ring, and of course Dark Ritual. Not to mention, we're in green, so there's absolutely no excuse when it comes to ramp in this deck. Yargle and Multani are going to be a huge threat when they hit the field, so we're going to have to find ways to protect them, as well as find ways to cheat them through so our opponents just don't chump block. Some choice cards to cheat our creatures through are Rogue's Passage, Key to the City, and Prowler's Helm. Rogue's Passage and Key to the City just make our creature unblockable, and Prowler's Helm makes equipped creature can only be blocked by walls, which are a pretty rare thing in Commander, so more than likely we are going to be able to get through with it. Some other great cards to get our creatures through are Dauthi Trapper and Dauthi Embrace. Both of these make target creature shadow until end of turn, meaning they can only block or be blocked by creatures with shadow. Shizo's Death Storehouse is pretty much an auto-include in this deck. It's a legendary land, it produces a swamp, and if you pay black and tap it, target legendary creature gains fear until end of turn. Meaning our creature can only be blocked by black or artifact creatures, once again minimizing what our opponents can block with so that way our creatures can get through. And this land has like next to no drawbacks. It doesn't come into play tapped, you don't have to pay any health, nothing. And this can easily just take the spot of a swamp and it can make our creatures evasive. It is honestly one of the best lands you could have in the deck. Additionally, Canopy Cover I feel is a really underrated aura. So for 1 and a green, enchanted creature can't be blocked except by creatures with flying or reach. Also, enchanted creature can't be the target of spells or abilities your opponents control. So not only is Canopy Cover giving our guy evasion, it is also protecting. Pretty good for just 2 mana. And speaking of protection, Yargle and Multani are going to have a massive bullseye on their head when they're out. So some other sources to protect them are Swiftfoot Boot, Heroic Intervention, Guardian Augmenter, and Tyvar Stan. All these cards give our guy hexproof in some form or fashion, with Heroic Intervention and Tyvar Stan giving Yargle Multani indestructible until end of turn, which is a pretty good countermeasure to any wrath effects out there. Furthermore, if your budget can swing it, Commander's Plate will do work in this deck. Not only would Yargle and Multani be able to swing lethal, seeing how they're getting 3+3, they would now get protection from 3 colors, that being red, white, and blue, which is once again upping our chances to deal combat damage to our opponents. We are going to need some form of a backup plan, so we're going to be running some other big creatures that complement our combat tricks and auras, so that way we can still swing lethal at our opponents regardless if we have Yargle and Multani on the field or not. Those big creatures consist of Mortivore, Demogoth Titan, Night Howler, Gigantosaurus, Lord of Extinction, and Galta Primal Hunger. Each of these guys complement our combat tricks and infect cards. Plus, Gerald Golgari Lichlord is a fantastic card in the 99, and I want to focus on his middle ability. So for 1, a black and a green, we sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. So for instance, we have Yargle and Multani on the field and we sacrifice them. Each opponent now loses 18 health, and we didn't even have to attack. The fact that we can fling any of our creatures and it makes all of our opponents lose health is going to be super threatening to the table, especially because we have many big creatures in this deck. 2 other creatures that can also just get huge in this deck are Mana Gorger Hydra and Primordial Hydra. For those of you that have played with these cards or been on the receiving end of these, I'm sure you guys have seen games where you've seen these Hydras turn to ridiculous sizes, and I definitely think these Hydras will complement the deck. To make sure we don't run out of gas, we're gonna have to run a good amount of card draw in this deck, seeing how we have a lot of cheap spells like ramp and pump effects. And while yes, black has some of the best card draw in the game, a lot of our card draw actually comes from green sources in this deck, that being greater good style effects. And a greater good style effect is you draw cards equal to the creature's power in some form or fashion, whether that means sacrificing said creature or just having it on the field. But for example, if we have Yargle and Multani on the field, we now draw 18 cards. That is just a huge advantage. You're going to run away with the game at this point. 18 cards, that's almost a fifth of your deck. You're going to draw any kind of ramp, board wipe, targeted removal, more creatures, lands, whatever it is you need, you're probably going to draw it. And the thing is, if you're running combos in this deck, this makes it so much easier to obtain these cards. I'd also definitely recommend running Thought Vessel and Reliquary Tower in this deck, seeing how it's not super uncommon for us to draw a ton of cards in one sitting. So yeah, Yargle and Multani definitely are a powerful Tron-based commander, and they will definitely be one-shotting players for years to come. But hey, those are just my thoughts on Yargle and Multani. What are some cards that you guys would throw into the 99? Comment below and let me know. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching. I will catch you all in the next video.